everybody, welcome to the bonus bish. No, this is not the bonus bish. This is a Frantastic Friday. What the frick is frickin' the frockatic? Welcome. Anyway, all you beautiful people. Now I'm talking like Barack Obama. Listening in the ether. Again, this is a Friday show. It is me, myself, and I. It is you right there, yourself and you. Wherever you may be listening to this and whenever you may be listening to this. And thank you so much for pressing play and for stopping by. I hope you're having a good day wherever and whatever you're doing. Whatever. Just going to be a lot of that. Shout out to Shakira and her new album. It is fire. It is good. I have a few things I want to talk about today. If you missed the Wednesday bonus show, that is because you fucked up. You know what I'm saying? No, the Wednesday bonus show is, again, a bonus show for all the patrones of the Frantifa. So you know who you are. If you're a member, también sos un patrón. What about a member on Twitch? También patrón, or patron adjacent. But patreon.com/Bitchuation room to get the bonus episode. It was a very long and deep dive into Korean women quitting on men in that country, based on them being trash in a lot of ways. Gender-based violence, along with outdated patriarchal gender norms, pay inequity, a lot of that stuff. A lot of pay and patriarchy happening. And so it was really good. I got a chance to show everybody my piece for National Geographic Explorer show back in 2017 about Japan and their similar reticence to shack up and have kids and the outdated gender norms. So get at that by becoming a member or a patron on patreon.com/Bitchuation room. If you're interested in any of that, there is a movement to quit men. And it's political lesbianism, which I honestly had never heard that term before. And that's probably me just being a bad feminist, because it definitely was a thing in the second wave feminist movement. But yeah, it was a good time. It was interesting. And I dream of one day doing a show. I'm not like a dating person. Like, let's talk about dating, like why men and women. I just feel like guys, like I don't like that kind of content, but I am fascinated by patriarchy and feminism and how it relates to, yes, sex, marriage, traditional or new roles, the world over, like how the world of dating changes depending on where you are, what movements have come before you in feminist movements, labor movements. So it all collapses. Like if someone wants to give me money to do that show, I'd love to do that show. So holler if you like own a production company or whatever. Anyway, you know what Wednesday was also that we didn't even touch on? It was Juneteenth. It was Freedom Day. It was actually now a national holiday for a lot of people, whatever you think of that, given sometimes how we do national holidays. In fact, I'll weigh in a second, but the day that celebrates the true emancipation of formerly enslaved people, because in Texas, in Galveston, apparently the news hadn't reached there yet. And so Juneteenth celebrates the day that every formerly enslaved person realized they were free. This year was exciting, I think, particularly because Kendrick Lamar held a concert / I don't know, rally party that I sadly didn't go to. But it was also held at the Kia Forum. You know what I'm saying? So like, do we actually, have we toppled everything that led to slavery in the first place, i.e. capitalism? Maybe not yet. But it is a little bit bitter that we had a national and have a national holiday when that feels like it was prompted by the mass movement, one of the probably the biggest movement of our lifetimes, which was the Black Lives Matter movement in 2020, or truly, became a mass movement in that year. and that we really don't have broad police reform or money for alternatives to policing infused into communities, around the country. There's been a backlash to that. People want to fucking make it about slogans. You shouldn't have said this. You shouldn't have said that. And then you could have gotten, you could have avoided innocent Black people from being murdered. So it's a little bit bitter, the fact that, like, this is the movement that, in my opinion, and actually statistically we looked into this, did help get Joe Biden elected the first time. And yet it's one of the issues he's made the least amount of progress on. And yet, you have Juneteenth. So take that for what you will. But I did want to bring to everyone's attention, this was earlier in June, no, about a week ago. The Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissed the lawsuit from the last two survivors of the Tulsa race massacre who are seeking reparations. Now, I believe in reparations broadly, but this particularly is wild. And I am someone who, I believe I had a good education, but I never knew about Greenwood in Oklahoma. I never knew about the Tulsa massacre. 300 people were massacred in 1921. And so the two surviving members wanted to get a little bit of justice, especially now that people are talking about it again. Again, Tulsa, Greenwood was known as the Black Wall Street, businesses thriving and whatnot. And let's see, let's of course Oklahoma. Nah, no thanks. I don't want to look back. Mm-mm. The suit was an attempt to force the city of Tulsa and others to make recompense for the destruction by a white mob of the once thriving Black district known as Greenwood. Um, you can't even read this if you're listening. I'm trying to zoom in so y'all can read it. It's fine. In 1921, on May 31st and June 1st, the white mob, including some people hastily deputized by authorities, looted and burned the district, which was referred to as Black Wall Street. As many as 300 Black Tulsans were killed. Thousands of survivors, this is fucking wild, were forced into internment camps overseen by the National Guard. What the fuck? White grievance politics are so fascinating because no matter what they're mad at, all-female Ghostbusters, the potential of a Black James Bond, I don't know, the Black protagonist not dying, those kinds of things that, white people get mad at, affirmative action. Sure. Few white Americans can be like, yeah, then there was the time where everything we owned was destroyed and we were all summarily murdered because we had the audacity to run businesses. I know they really want that. They really want to be aggrieved, right? They really want some moment. It was like pick anyone. It's right now they're all like, Caitlin Clark, you're our Jackie Robinson, Caitlin. BJ, you know what I mean? They all want their white Rosa Parks and they don't have it. And it's just so wild to me, because you point to something like the Tulsa massacre and just fucking nothing in pretty much, you've got Japanese internment, you've got Native American genocide. Yeah, those are close. You've got discrimination and brutalization of Chinese Americans in this country. But my God, what the fuck? This is wild. Okay. They burned bricks and a fragment of a church basement are all about that survive today of the more than 30 block historically Black district. Two survivors of the attack, Leslie Benningfield Randall and Viola Fletcher, who are both now over 100 years old. There was a third, but they passed away. Sued in 2020 with the hope of seeing what their attorney called justice in their lifetime. The third plaintiff, Hughes Van Ellis, died last year at age 102. I don't know, what is it? Is it why are they living so long? Is it just my literal quest for justice will not allow me to fucking die before I see this? And of course, this gentleman did pass away, and the Supreme Court of Oklahoma still ruled against them. It was brought under the public nuisance law, arguing that the actions of the white mob continue to affect the city today. It contended that Tulsa's long history of racial division and tension stemmed from the massacre. Yeah. The city and insurance companies never compensated victims for their losses, and the massacre ultimately resulted in racial and economic disparities that still exist today, the lawsuit argued. It sought a detailed accounting of the property and wealth lost or stolen in the massacre, the construction of a hospital in North Tulsa, um, and the creation of a victims' compensation fund, among other things. So literally, it was like, this is not just to make these victims like, oh, let's give them a bunch of money. Detailed accounting of property and wealth lost. Construction of a hospital, which I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's a hospital for everybody. That's not going to be like a black hospital that's going to help everyone in Tulsa. And the creation of a victims compensation fund, among other things. So if you were the descendants of someone who, was brutalized or maybe even died in the Tulsa massacre, that could have, helped you out. Nope. No can do. This was, I think it's Viola is her name. She testified, and if PBS copyright strikes me, I swear to God, you public motherfucking. But here is one of the survivors. This is, I think this is Viola. She's explaining what happened to her. Yeah, Viola Fletcher.
Still, Greenwood should have given me the chance to truly make it in this country.
She says, Greenwood gave me the chance to truly make it in this country.
Within a few hours, all of that was gone. The night of the massacre, I was awakened by my family. My parents and 5 siblings were there. I was told we had to leave, and that was it. I will never forget the violence of the white mob when we left our home. I still see black men being shot, black bodies lying in the street. I still smell smoke and see fire. I still see black businesses being burned. I still hear airplanes flying overhead. I hear the screams. I have lived through the massacre every day. Our country may forget this history, but I cannot. I will not. And other survivors do not. And our descendants do not. I am a 107-year-old and have never been seen justice. I pray that one day I will.
Fuck you, Oklahoma. I'm sorry. Fuck you, Oklahoma. Look, if you live there, you're good. You're cool. But no, fuck Oklahoma. Fuck that shit. That is just like. Yeah, they wanted to see just 107. Sterling Nash on YouTube says they live so long because they're the best of us strong people. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess to like tell their actual story, to have this moment, which again, Oklahoma Supreme Court was like, nah. I mean, and this is the thing about like the importance of federal reparations. This is the importance of things like the Voting Rights Act. This is why there had been federal monitors on former slave states, on states in the South, that was then gutted by the Supreme Court not too long ago, because motherfuckers aren't different right now, right? Like they benefited from slavery, they benefit from the legacies of slavery, and they absolutely do not want to shell out the money to atone for that. They'd rather, again, literally rewrite history or not teach history or obscure history in order to keep on pretending like they earned all the money themselves. Like, Tulsa, what? Thank you, whites. And this just dropped today from the Washington Post. There's a new Harvard study that says that basically the federal government could issue reparations. New research shows there's a moral case, a societal norm, and governmental precedent for paying reparations to Black Americans for continuing harms resulting in the racial wealth gap. Oh, pray tell. I don't know if I'll read all of this, but a little bit. Of course, this was after when President Biden proclaimed Wednesday as Juneteenth Day. He called on Americans to, quote, recognize how the impact of America's original sin remains. He listed his administration's accomplishments, in particular interest to Black America, including signing the 2021 legislation making Juneteenth a federal holiday. Like, no, man. No. Unless you're going to, like, Clockwork Orange our own history into everyone's eyeballs, it feels just like another day, right? Like, this is not, sadly, that's the way a lot of people roll. Franny going a little fast here. One of the items not on Biden's list is reparations, the long overdue but still controversial payments to descendants of enslaved people in compensation for that original sin. Reparations proposals are controversial because people like Senator Mitch McConnell, the chamber's Republican leader, in 2019 said, quote, "None of us currently living are responsible for slavery." Good for you, Mitch. Good. Well, it had nothing to do with me. I don't see what I am. Okay. That's all of that. Now, a couple of Harvard University professors, Linda J. Blimes and Cornell William Brooks, a white woman and a black man, refute McConnell's argument and related ones in a detailed, well-documented academic paper timed for this week's Juneteenth observance. Yeah. Are you going to do the difficult research to show why people who are still alive benefit from the legacy of slavery? I hope so. It's pretty easy, but okay. In convincing fashion, the two authors write in the Russell Sage Foundation Journal of Social Sciences that the federal government, quote, already has the norm, precedent, expertise, and resources to provide reparations to Black Americans. Washington has funded many and varied reparatory compensation programs, the research shows, demonstrating that reparations for non-racial harms is regular and routine, and that America provides reparations to nearly everyone but Black Americans, even for comparably severe harms. Although the politically contentious word is not commonly used to describe the forms of compensation, Biles and Brooks say reparations are surprisingly commonplace in practices in the federal government's role in compensating harms. This goes well beyond often cited payments to Jewish victims of the Holocaust, Japanese Americans incarcerated in World War II internment camps. Categories of those harmed who have been compensated include, they wrote, coal miners, farmers whose crops have failed, workers whose companies had gone bankrupt, victims of terrorism and natural disasters, people exposed to nuclear radiation, military veterans, individuals wrongfully convicted in the legal system, people denied earnings on tribal lands, fishermen facing depleted fish stocks, individuals harmed by pesticides, toxins, vaccines, or medical devices, workers and businesses affected by U.S. trade agreements, depositors and banks, and numerous other categories. So it's been done. The House and Senate have not voted on a bill that was introduced in 2021 by Sheila Jackson Lee, but it doesn't mean action on reparations have stalled. People say that it's on fire, according to Ron Daniels. Evanston, Illinois. We talked about Evanston, Illinois. Actually successfully did this. The Chicago suburb is credited with the nation's first government-funded reparations program. Over the past 2 years, it paid almost $5 million to nearly 200 Black residents. Evanston's program is now threatened by Judicial Watch. Of course it is. That's a fucking Leonard Leo outfit. A conservative organization suing to stop the program because it said race-based eligibility requirements violates the Constitution. Fuck you. Like, this is seriously Leonard Leo has all of the money in the world. He is the reason we have the Supreme Court that we have, and he funds Judicial Watch, which astroturfs a bunch of the cases that we've talked about on Tuesday's show. Don't miss it. And now they're like, I'm mad that $5 million of not my money went to Black people. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you wake up evil every day? Go enjoy your money. Say it with me, everybody. If I were a millionaire, I would, let's go, fuck off into the night. We all know this. We know this about me. We probably know this about you. We'd fuck off into the night. Now, here's a problem with that. I'd probably be like, I don't know, I want to like buy a building and like start like a event space, which could be like comedy, but also like, movement space. Cause I'm like that, and I'd be like, fuck, I gotta give back and shit, But like, I would love nothing more than to fuck off into the night. Why can't these people fuck off into the night? Fuck off in the night. Once again, fuck off into the night. Can we get a shirt? Fuck off into the night. So yeah. Oh, of course, they quote someone from the Heritage Foundation who says, it does not pass the test of justice, morality, logic, or ethics or efficacy, establishes a collective guilt. They mete out collective punishment and hand out collective rewards nearly 160 years after the Civil War ended and the 13th Amendment abolished slavery. Fuck off. Shut up. I don't give a shit. Anyway, so that's that. TBD on reparations. Maybe they're gonna come soon. Maybe it'll happen. Hopefully, in our lifetimes. The instructor, thanks so much for being a member, says very informative bonus Wednesday. Was it? It was sort of off the beaten path to talk about Korean women and how they're boycotting men, but also, I don't know, interesting. Again, global feminist movements. No big deal, but I have my undergraduate degree in uh what was it? Post-colonial feminism. Thank you. Thank you. And over on Twitch, just a shout out to Pingo1E for subscribing with Prime and Frank Morningtree, also 30 months strong. You do know what to say all the time. Let's pivot to this. You know, we didn't do this story. We haven't done this story because it's terrifying, depressing, but fascinating. Boeing. Let's go, bitches. Boeing CEO was on Capitol Hill this week being grilled by the Senate. Outgoing CEO with a really big cushion, really big landing pad. Unlike so many of the planes that he has been overseeing, he will actually have an escape route. Unlike the what is it, 575 Max or 757 Max, whatever the Max is. Why does everything have to be Max? I love how HBO was like, you know what, we're just gonna be Max now. Max has never been associated with anything bad. The CEO, and this is wild. The CEO was grilled, and I will show you by whom. But the CEO Calhoun is grilled and actually says that he admits that whistleblowers are retaliated against. Quote, I know it happens. Fucking insane. He said, I know it happens. He apologized to the families of the Boeing crash victims, saying the manufacturer was totally committed to future safety improvements as he began testimony to the committee on Tuesday. It comes as the embattled aircraft manufacturer faces a string of lawsuits related to malpractice after a door plug of the 737 MAX 9 blew off during an Alaska Airlines flight in January, which didn't kill anyone because remember, what was it? The flight attendants didn't sit anyone there. Why? Because they were scared, probably. Multiple whistleblowers have since come forward with concerns about violations of safety during production inspections, and many have claimed they were, quote, retaliated against by Boeing. In fact, 2 of them died. He was asked about that, and he said, he was asked how many Boeing employees had been disciplined for retaliating against whistleblowers. Calhoun responded, I don't have the number on the tip of my tongue. In other words, are you holding those who are retaliating accountable? No idea. Richard Blumenthal, senator who chaired the hearing, said, you have a duty to demand the highest safety standards and ensure that speak up, in fact, means speak up, not shut up, as it is meant to all too often. So there's more information about John Barnett, who was one of those whistleblowers, and he, in fact, the coroner ruled, did kill himself, self-inflicted gunshot wound. He was a quality control engineer for 32 years. And at the time, meaning literally at the time, he was in South Carolina testifying. At the time, he was testifying against Boeing. He was 62 years old. So that's half his goddamn life. Asked how he felt about the news of Barnett's death during the hearing, Calhoun replied, heartbroken. Sure. Now remember, they made Barnett's life a living hell. It was bad. So it is interesting that he did kill himself in this moment. He was testifying, right? It was not the first time he had testified, but also when you're being grilled, that's not good. That's not fun. Like you don't really want to live. What I'm saying is the guy was under a lot of stress, and that was thanks to Boeing. One of the travelers, the mother of one of the travelers who died in the Ethiopia 2019 crash, shouted at Calhoun, how could you, as he left Tuesday's Senate hearing. In an interview with CNN, Moore later said she was not satisfied with Calhoun's apology and called for criminal prosecution against him and other executives of the manufacturer. What is justice? What is accountability? They should be in jail. That is absolutely 1,000,000% correct. There is no excuse for them not being in jail. Here is another mom, Nadia Miller, who is actually running for office. And she was on Democracy Now! Recently. And here's what she had to say about this. I don't know if she was actually in the hearing herself.
Why is Dave Calhoun paid $32 million? He's paid that money to cut costs. That's what he's good at. So he's not good at production. He's not an engineer. He's paid to strip mine the company. And that's what he's doing. So he promotes people, the company promotes people, the culture of the company is to short their product, which is opposite to success of the company.
That's fucking wild. The success of Boeing is thanks to shorting their product. In other words, making it shoddy and cutting corners and making a shittier product, which is always an option. But capitalism's amazing. Capitalism delivers. Hey, the power, the invisible hand of the market, right? They create the best product. No, because greedy motherfuckers will create the worst product. And we will die and suffer the consequences. And here she explains sort of, again, if you want to get woke, if you want to become an anti-capitalist, study Boeing. If you want to become an anti-capitalist, study the history of the Pinto and Ford and the fact that it was cheaper to pay the families of the victims of the Ford Pinto, which if it was rear-ended at a certain degree or whatever, would literally blow up. It was cheaper for them to pay out those families and the victims than it was to take it off the market or remake it so it could be safe.
What we would like them to do is make good products. And I think this letter that we just sent the Justice Department is absolutely a brilliant solution because Boeing is motivated by money. And so if they have a fine hanging over their head and an outside monitor, we believe that this is a way that they would actually change their behavior. So Boeing has metrics. They had metrics in 2015. And Richard Blumenthal, the senator, he pointed this out during the hearing, and he showed a chart. So in 2015, when they were fined, and they were fined many times, and for Boeing, fines are just the cost of doing business. And also they used insurance to cover deaths. So that's also a cost of doing.
So basically she's saying fines are only going to do so much. It's got to be a massive fine because they have insurance to cover all of these payouts. And she's requesting a federal monitor. So some parents or some family members of those who died in these two crashes are like, no, he should be in jail. I 1,000,000% agree with that. And I don't know if Nadia also agrees with that. But then she's saying there needs to be a federal monitor and there needs to be a massive sum of money that they pay out. None of these like ticky-tack bullshit small sorry sums.
Doing business. So they don't feel any pain from deaths or these problems that are coming up. So what we're proposing to the Justice Department is that there's an outside monitor and that this huge fine be over Boeing's head and that the outside monitor makes sure there's compliance. And then because the fine is going to the government, so it doesn't actually benefit anybody. So what we want is behavior change on the part of Boeing and that they actually comply with their own metrics. So in 2015, they said, we're going to do this and this and this. And then in 2024, they said the same thing. And they cut and paste the words. So it's the same metrics that they're saying they're going to comply with, but they didn't do anything between 2015 and 2024. It's the same metrics that they have that they're not complying with. So that's what we want. We want them to produce safe planes.
No, we can't do that. I mean, it is so like, one of my deepest fears about now that I'm a mom is like something heinous happens to my daughter that requires me to dedicate the rest of my life to fighting for this cause, which is so fucking grim. First of all, we should fight for this cause no matter what. But second of all, that is how so many people become dedicated to things like gun control, right? It's because their child was massacred in a school or wherever. Or, that's how people become dedicated to reigning in corporate power, is because their kid died in a plane crash that had faulty software that the pilots were not properly trained on how to override. I mean, it's terrifying. Fucking terrifying. Anyway, let's watch a little bit of that actual hearing. And I apologize because I know Richard Blumenthal, who is a Democrat. Not that I have preferences, but I do. I know he also grilled Calhoun here, the CEO. But there was also someone else who grilled him, and it's very much a case of like, worst guy you know makes good point. Terrible. Worst guy you know makes good point. Senator Hawley. Josh Hawley roasted Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun for 7 minutes straight. Yeah, and it's good. It is good. And I'm like, you know what, Hawley, Hawley, he gives me he's had, and I can't remember because his bullshit has blotted out the good things that he's done, but I feel like he's worked with Bernie on a couple of progressive pieces of legislation. He hasn't been the shittiest little shit of the Republican Party, but he's so clearly an opportunist. And if we're being honest with ourselves, where there is the most money and accolades and more money is being a right winger. It's being an unrepentant, fascist enduring and fucking pavement layer of fascism. And money. That's where it all is for these people. So it's like all of the rest of it got blotted out. Let's see. Hang on. All right, let's just play this really quick.
What is it that you get paid currently?
Senator, that's well disclosed in our proxy documents
What is it, bitch? He asked you what it is.
each of the years that I've been employed.
Yeah, but what is it?
It's a big number, sir.
Well,
It's a big number. Shut the fuck up and say. Just be like, I'm grateful to receive blank. You know what'd be really fun is after taxes is actually not that. It's only like 20 million.
let me help you out. It's 32.8 million this year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
That's a 45% increase over last year. Does that sound right?
Yes, it does.
What is it you get paid to do exactly?
I get paid to run the Boeing company.
Yeah. So just help me understand that. I mean, do you get paid for transparency? Is that one of the metrics for your income?
I think the board counts on me for transparency.
Really? Because you're under investigation for falsifying 787 inspection records. The Boeing's under criminal investigation for the Alaska Airlines flight. You were investigated by DOJ for criminal conspiracy to defraud the FAA. This is all in your tenure. This doesn't sound like a lot of transparency to me. What about safety? Is that a component of your salary?
It sure is, Senator.
You know,
No, they pay you the big bucks to explicitly target whistleblowers and keep everyone in line. And makes sure that your shareholders are making hand over fist money in the form of stock buybacks and putting up a fucking toilet paper roll in the sky. That's what it is. That's how much money you get paid. You get that much money. So when you cannot sleep at night because you hear the screams of the people who died inside of your planes, you can easily have just small little, Bose noise canceling earplugs to just doopy doopy do it all away. That's why you get paid the money. There's no amount of money you could pay me to be this much of a fucking ghoul. Just a demon. Fuck that.
have you seen the reports that the subcontractor that you use to make that door piece that fell out of the sky, that when the FAA went and toured the facility, they found one door seal being lubricated with Dawn liquid dish soap and cleaned with a wet cheesecloth, and another was being checked with a hotel room key card.
Okay, first of all, this is a great ad for Dawn. Are you kidding me? Dawn, if it's good enough for Boeing, it's good enough for your kitchen. Those tough to reach grease stains. Like, I love your solution is to put Dawn. Like, let's be real. First of all, when I first heard this, I'm going to be 100%. When I first heard this, I was like, I mean, Dawn kind of does the job in a lot of situations. Who among us? I've washed a car with Dawn. One time I had like a dye job that was like too blonde and I didn't really like it. Or maybe I can't remember. I fucked it up and I used Dawn. I'm just saying, like, there's a reason it's America's #1 dish soap. It's because we use it in the sky. A key card. That's about right. Come on.
Does that sound like safety to you?
Senator, I think our relationship with that particular supplier has been well documented, reviewed by the FAA and most certainly us. And I'm very intent on acquiring that company so that none of that ever happens.
You know, the FAA also says that
I'm intent on acquiring that company so none of it happens, or I'm intent on acquiring that company so that we don't allow the FAA in when we are doing those things. We will make sure that the inspectors are never there when we break out the Dawn and the key cards.
Boeing still has not implemented the recommended steps back from 2019 and 2020 after the MAX crashes. You still have not taken the appropriate safety procedures or implemented what they recommended.
Which is fucking wild. You're like, oh, okay. So like, who holds anyone accountable? Like, are there fines? Is it like, I mean, I don't know this, right? Maybe there are, maybe every year that they don't implement these safety protocols after 2 planes of theirs fell out of the fucking sky. They have to pay, $3 billion a year. Okay. Is that happening? Is it? What? Like, how do you make them do it? Other than grounding their fucking planes and telling them, you have lost the right to fly people in your planes.
I mean, how if safety is a component of your $33 million compensation package, I mean, how can you possibly qualify for any of this? What about quality? Is quality part of your compensation package?
Senator, I meet with the FAA pretty regularly. They don't hold anything back, and I'm not aware of anything that has been cited with respect to those accidents that we haven't taken action on.
Really? Because we've had whistleblowers. You said you'd listen to whistleblower testimony. We've had multiple whistleblowers come before this committee and allege that Boeing is cutting every possible corner on quality and safety, not just in the past, but now. They've alleged that you've eliminated safety inspections, that there are fewer in quality and there are fewer inspectors doing quality inspections out there. They've alleged that when they raised quality issues and concerns, they were reassigned, they were retaliated against, they were physically threatened. That doesn't sound like attention to quality to me. And yet you're getting paid $33 million a year. It's extraordinary.
Senator, we have increased our quality inspectors significantly.
How much has your stock price increased while you've been?
Oh, now he's coming for the stock price. Want to bet Holly's actually invested in Boeing?
It hasn't, and I don't watch it much.
Have you done any stock buybacks while you've been at Boeing?
Not in my job, no.
How about your profits? Have your profits increased at all?
I haven't had any profits, sir.
I'm sorry?
I have not had any profits.
Yeah.
I have not had any profits. That might actually be true because as we've talked about multiple times on this show and other places is, the less profit you report, if all of your money is in stocks and assets, the less profit you report, the less tax you pay. So there's that.
Oh, I think the truth is, Mr. Calhoun, you're not focused on safety. You're not focused on quality. You're not focused on transparency. All of this is in the record, but I think actually you're focused on exactly what you were hired to do, which is that you're cutting corners. You are eliminating safety procedures. You are sticking it to your employees. You are cutting back jobs because you're trying to squeeze every piece of profit you can out of this country. This company. You're strip mining it. You're strip mining Boeing. It was one of the greatest American companies ever. It has employed thousands of people in my state, and you are strip mining it for profit, shareholder value, and you're being rewarded for it. You got a huge raise, a huge increase. So it's working out great for you. For the American people, they're in danger. For your workers, they're in peril. For your whistleblowers, they literally fear for their lives, but you're getting compensated like never before. Don't you think maybe your priorities are misplaced here? I mean, don't you think maybe it's time to get back to focusing on making quality planes and paying your workers well and taking care of the little guys who got you to where you are?
Ooh, ixnay on the idle guys gay. Like, you, no. Ooh, Holly, no. This is, you are a Republican. This is not your job, bro. Shh. We're supposed to go golfing with these guys. They've got a great corner table at the brunch spot. You just got to let them do what they're going to do. And maybe one day you can ride in their private jet that's definitely not Boeing made. You know, you just shh. You're supposed to funnel the money up from the workers. You're supposed to stamp out any kind of unionization efforts, obviously kill all the whistleblowers. That's what you do. Haven't you been paying a fucking attention? What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Come on. Get with the program. Shh.
That's not a rhetorical question.
Senator, I don't recognize any of the Boeing you described. None of it.
Really?
And I want to assure,
You don't recognize the Boeing that has airplanes falling out of the sky, that has had 2 Maxes crash, that has had pieces of doors fall out of the sky, that have had whistleblowers come before. They've sat right where you have sat and told us. These are your employees who have told us that when these are the engineers, by the way. Are you an engineer?
I'm not. Sir.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And they have said that they're not listened to, that they're retaliated against, that they're threatened. That's the reality of Boeing today. That's your company that you have created. Now, I don't recognize it either from the company it used to be decades ago, but under your leadership, that's what Boeing is, and you're being rewarded for it handsomely. Handsomely.
Libertarian gets woke to the importance of regulation. Republican realizes capitalism is nothing but a vulture fucking system of economics that feeds off of its own failures and puts everyone at risk. That is what it is. That it is nothing but chutes and ladders to make small dicked fucking rich guys even richer.
Don't you think there's something wrong with that? Why haven't you resigned?
Yeah, Senator,
He's leaving at the end of the year.
What I said, and I want to assure the great employees in your state that
Missouri. I'm like, Missouri? I didn't realize Missouri had a lot of Boeing employees.
is not the way we operate the company, and it never will be. And if you would like my chief engineer to talk about what he sees.
No, I want to hear from you, because what I hear from you is a lot of this team does that and that team does that. And I listen to the whistleblowers, but I don't meet with them. And I've heard about all this stuff that you Congress have meddlesomely asked for because the public wants to see it. Gosh darn them, but you actually haven't supervised any of it. I've heard that. It's a lot of it's this, it's that, it's this, it's that. But meanwhile, you're getting paid a heck of a lot of money. It's unbelievable. If anybody's coming out of this deal good, it's you. Why haven't you resigned?
Damn, he is getting paid. He's getting paid that money so he can sit there and take your shit, Josh Hawley, and then not do anything to implement any of these safety protocols and then retire a multimillionaire.
Senator, I'm sticking this through. I'm proud of having taken the job. I'm proud of our
this
safety record, and I am
You're proud of
very
this safety
proud
record.
of our Boeing people.
You're proud of this safety record.
I am proud of every action we have taken.
Every action you've taken.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. There's some news for you. Well, behind you, you can't see it. Behind you, the folks are showing pictures of the people who are the victims of your safety record. I think we can all see them. And I think the American public, when they fear to get on their airplanes, they understand your safety record. And frankly, sir, I think it's a travesty that you're still in your job.
Ooh, worst person you know makes amazing point for 7 minutes. That's very upsetting, but also very cathartic. And there are people there holding up images of John Barnett, again, who died back in March. As he was testifying, he worked for Boeing for 30 years. He testified to things like there was a 25% failure rate of the oxygen masks deploying. So like 1 in 4 wouldn't. Just like, and again, the shit is fixable. It's fixable, right? It is absolutely fixable. This guy could take a pay cut, invest more in more workers, give them more pay, actually make safety more robust, and you wouldn't necessarily have to slow down the fucking production line. Or what if you do? Who cares? So again, what's crazy, it's like it's very funny that Boeing acts like flying was just invented last week, like, well, there's a lot of advances and clouds are different these days, which actually, funnily enough, climate change is making air pressure a little bit different, but the basics of flying are still fucking there. And it is like, I am such a nervous flyer anyway, but it is so terrifying to me that like, I hate turbulence. Some people like it. Some people are like, ooh, I fucking hate it. And it's terrifying to me that at a time when we've got climate change that is ironically caused by things like plane travel, and airplanes should be like, gee, how can we both reduce carbon emissions with this travel, as well as make sure that our planes are sort of retrofit for, like turbulence. They're going in the opposite direction. Now I know that the Boeing, like the Max plane, the two that crashed, which one were they? I always forget. The 737 Max. I think it was a 57. But you know what I'm saying? Those two planes, they were specifically designed to potentially cut down on, like, not have to consume as much gas, right? So it's interesting. There is a right-wing angle here, which is like, it's the Green New Deal wokies that made Boeing do it. But like, they were trying to cut down on the use of gas. But obviously that wasn't the problem. The problem was they had shitty software and they didn't train the pilots on how to use it. I digress, because if you guys need, I don't want to go over everything that's happened, because, but just to say, it's not just the door. There have been like landing gear that's fallen off Boeing airplanes. There's been tires that have been flat when upon landing, and there's been like all kinds of shit that's gone on. Remember years ago, like every time I'm on a Southwest flight, which I do Southwest a lot because I'm over here in California, and nobody sits by the window, because remember a few years ago, a Boeing flight, like a jet basically blew out the window and a woman was half sucked out of it. And she died, half sucked out, because, her torso was still there. The top of her body was not. So terrifying shit. Emergency flight, emergency landings all over the goddamn place. Remember, I think an airplane landed without landing gear. Fires have been found after flights land, and they're like, oh, look, there's a fire back there. Just really, really terrifying shit. But More Perfect Union interviewed the workers, and I got to go after this because Mama got to go, host TYT in a little bit if you guys are fans and friends of that. But here is More Perfect Union interviewing Boeing workers. They write, they took us inside the airplane company's failures, including how executives eliminated safety inspections, sent away engineers, and forced suppliers to cut corners.
Our members are angry about this.
This morning, new concerns about quality control at Boeing.
It's driving us together, a unified membership over the future of this company.
There are issues around the safety culture in Boeing. Their priorities have been on production and not on safety and quality.
We love the Boeing company. We just don't appreciate the people that are making short-term decisions that have destroyed some of the things that we hold dear.
Boeing, the storied American airplane manufacturer, is experiencing extreme turbulence after years of corporate mismanagement. At the core of the problem is the way that Boeing treats its 32,000 unionized workers in Washington and Oregon. Now those workers, members of the Machinists Union and in contract negotiations for the first time in 16 years, are making a bid to save the company.
And we
Damn, first time in 16 years? Okay.
all try to put out the safest product and most quality product that we can. A lot of these decisions that are coming down, unfortunately, are coming from upper leadership that are pushing production over safety, over quality. They want the airplanes delivered as fast as possible, and we're trying to do it as quality as possible.
They have focused solely on stock price.
Yep.
And I know that's important, and profitability is important, but they have pushed principles that have undermined the safety and quality of our manufacturing system.
A recent FAA investigation found deep flaws in Boeing's quality control process. One of its plane lines has been grounded. Airlines are jumping ship, and travelers are wary. It's all a product of a long-running issue.
Agreed.
The wages that they pay are comparable with McDonald's,
What?
right? There is a big turnover rate, and so a lot of people won't stay there very long to gain the knowledge and the skill set. And that knowledge and skill set goes a long way as far as building the airplane, quality, safety, things like that.
We went inside the top secret negotiations to learn how workers plan on rescuing the aerospace giant while winning the wages and benefits equal to their hard work and expertise.
So at Boeing, I am currently a safety coordinator. Before that, I was an electrical installer in the 767 program. When you have something that you want to fix and you know that you have a better solution and you get pushback, that is frustrating.
You would imagine that a company would rely on the experts that are doing the work for you to give input on how to improve process or how to make things more efficient.
The company did start to change, and a lot of people look back to the merger between Boeing and McDonnell Douglas.
The deal took place in 1997, creating one of the world's biggest airplane manufacturers. But building planes was not the concern.
Did consolidation fuck up the plane industry? When you make corporation bigger, does that make product worse? Gee, another feature of conglomerate fucking capitalism that is killing us.
Investment in technology fell dramatically while stock buybacks soared.
We saw
Good for them.
Many from McDonnell Douglas or GE start to take over leadership in this company and shift their priorities, for the company. And a lot of that was about increasing profit margins. They look to extend programs that should be replaced.
Terrifying.
And
Terrifying.
They also look to decrease their net assets, and you started to see them sell off, different parts of the business. Like they sold off Wichita to Spirit, and they sold off a Boeing facility in Spokane to Triumph.
Oh boy.
After the merger, extreme cost.
Wait, so is do you think Spirit is better or worse? Is Spirit just like off-brand Boeing, so it's like worse? I've never been on a Spirit flight, but those prices, they're tempting.
Cutting stripped Boeing of important businesses and essential functions. In the early to mid-2000s, Boeing sold manufacturing facilities to subcontractors in Spokane and Wichita, severing quality assurance.
Suppliers were required to reduce their cost to Boeing by 10% each year through the Partnering for Success initiative.
Wait, you just hear that? They're supposed to reduce their cost to Boeing by 10%. So we'll contract with you, but we're going to pay you less every single year through our Partnering for Success initiative.
They put forth, which really put a strain on the supply chain and the entire workforce.
The Partnering for Success initiative, implemented in the 2010s, was a reviled program meant to squeeze parts makers and suppliers into saving Boeing cash. It wound up sacrificing quality and sustainability and was scrapped after the Spirit-owned facility.
There's just a photo. I forgot how wild the door that blew open looks, and like how it was like a night flight. As fucking terrifying. There's like just two passengers going like,
played a central role in the door plug fiasco on an Alaska Airlines plane.
And we used to have engineering in-house on all shifts, and now a lot of that's been farmed out. They moved a lot of their engineers down to California and over to Oklahoma. We need to have better access to the engineers and stuff, because there's drawings that we'll find and there's something not right with the drawing or the job. You can't just call up an engineer and be like, hey, can I come up to your office? We need to look at this. This is conflicting information. You can't do that. And so it makes the process take days instead of a couple of hours.
We've decided to move our engineers to Zoom. Yeah, they work remotely, mostly, and, you know, they look, um, they have eyes, there's cameras all over the shop floor, and if someone needs to talk to them, they just ping them, and there's just a running chat, and, yeah, they're mostly you look, they're working in their sweats, and they're at home and comfortable, and I feel like their mental health is better, but, you know, they've got eyes. In fact, they have arguably more eyes on the shop floor, and there's more interface because they again connect through multiple cameras through Zoom and remote work. Next question.
It led to dangerous compromises and mistakes throughout the production process.
When I came through, the trainers were Boeing members. They were guys that came from my job and were training me to do that job. Now they've hired outside contractors, and these guys have never worked on airplanes. They've never worked at Boeing.
Oh my
The
God.
company started to remove thousands of inspections.
Fuck
We
you.
build the plane, we also inspect the plane. We make sure it's built the way it was designed, the way the process was approved through the FAA, and the requirements to maintain that repeatability throughout the production system. And the company started to remove quality inspections and push that onto the mechanic. And they did that as a way to increase profits on the short term, but long term to the detriment of the infrastructure and control over the product.
Yeah, no
that we-
shit. You know what? Just if any libertarian, just ask every libertarian you know, like, what about Boeing? Just tell us about Boeing. Tell me the story of Boeing as you see it. Is it bad that money and the markets rule literally everything? Is government regulation so bad? Should we get rid of the FAA? And again, a lot of libertarians are people with money and they fly. And so they'll be like, that's why you got to fly private.
We've seen in the last 10 years.
Boeing's budget cuts extended to the people who make their planes, who they all but blackmailed several times since the last full negotiation
Jesus.
in 2008.
They threatened to remove the 777X somewhere else. That was the most successful wide-body program in history at that time. We're building 8.3 airplanes a month, and they threatened to take the 777X somewhere else.
Boeing's
That is
size.
so many airplanes. I mean, that's actually a fuck. In 4 weeks, you're building 8 planes, 8.3 planes. That 0.3, they're just like, nah, just send it out. It's only got one wing, sir. Send it out.
And its threat to destroy production and bring on less knowledgeable workers forced the union into worse deals with little negotiating. The first came in 2011, followed by another in 2013.
Local union officials had urged their 30,000 members to oppose the deal, arguing the proposal surrendered too much at a time of company profitability.
So we were forced into negotiations where we lost our pension, stagnated wages for the last 8 years, and had a huge cost shift on healthcare.
The union
They got fucked. So the Boeing was like, well, we're thinking of leaving, and so the union was like, okay, I guess we'll take a pension cut or no pension. We'll take no pay increase for 8 fucking years. This is wild. So again, they strong-armed everyone. They lied to everyone. Meanwhile, guys, what's been happening to air travel in 8 years? I'll tell you. You have to pay for your bags. In some cases, you have to pay for a carry-on bag. You have to pay for any kind of food, meals, anything. You have to pay for a seat that isn't all the way in the back by the bathroom. You have to pay for literally everything on the flight now, right? Nothing comes with it. So it's amazing that, like, where'd the money go? Where money go? Because it not go to worker and not go consumer. Must go to rich guy. Like, so simple.
Wound up approving the deal with just 51% of the vote in a low turnout election. It led to big reforms in the local machinists union and a determination to fix things for both workers and the company this time around.
We did propose over 40% over a 3-year period, over the life of the agreement. Our proposal was based off of our investigation around wages in similar classifications in the aerospace industry.
I think the biggest thing for us in the upcoming contract is getting those retiree benefits.
Seriously.
I have a lot of people that are getting ready to retire. I'd like to retire one day, and I'd like to have those benefits available.
So I've literally lost $270,000 of my retirement because they got rid of the pension.
Jesus.
We haven't seen improvements to vacation and sick leave amounts for years. Our members deserve to receive more pay, have more paid time off, and be able to choose how they work overtime.
I really am excited to see some more life-work balance be brought into the contract. A lot of people now are focused on really improving that life-work balance and not having to be forced into working all the time and not being able to spend time with your family.
I'm gonna leave it there, but that's fucking wild. Like, this is such a moment for them, and good for this union and the machinists. And I hope they get a great contract. And if they get a good contract, that means good things for everybody. I would like to people who work on planes to have a good work-life balance. I would like them to not be tired and overworked or hate their jobs or feel like they can't retire ever. I'd like that for all workers, but particularly those who like build these, giant aluminum tubes that fly through the sky. That'd be tight. Just some comments and then we will go. Thank you so much to Rachel Atwood for super chatting. Sean O'Brien will speak to the RNC. Go team Sean Fain. Is he the head of the Teamsters? Because the Teamsters. That's sad. Sean O'Brien also got into, speaking of Oklahoma, what the Oklahoma congressperson, he and like almost like came to blows with the Oklahoma congressperson. It was so fucking weird. And also kind of, I don't know, I was like, all right, I'll watch this fight. But yeah, go team Sean Fain. Sean Fain greater than Sean O'Brien. A union president going to the RNC is an interesting choice, considering that Republicans do not like unions. If he were the head of a police union, I get it. I don't understand this move. But okay. Sure. William McGregor, thank you for that generous super chat. The recent loss of Boeing whistleblowers Noam Chomsky and Chuck Norris is more than any Marxist socialist can be expected to tolerate. I think that's all fake news. Dude, Chuck Norris, I think, is still alive. Did this guy just die today? You mean Willie Mays? He alive. He 84. Did he just die? God damn it, I have a joke with Chuck Norris in it. I don't have to change that. And Noam Chomsky is still alive. He is fighting for his life, and we will do a very big episode roundup. I'll tell you all my Chomsky stories. There aren't very many, but I wish there were more. Chaotic Neutral Dragon, thanks for becoming a member. You get access to a bunch of bonus episodes. So you've got your weekend cut out for you. And Gary Cooper, a member on YouTube, Dawn famously is what rescuers use to clean animals pulled out of oil spills. Now I learn it's good for lubricating airplane parts. Get some Dawn. That's right. Just have some, like, your plane's going down. You're like, I've got some Dawn. Fun pieces, Mrs. Lieb. Oh boy. Please connect on Matt's amazing Lincoln-like presentation on Majority Report today. Yes, I watched it. He did a great job on the Majority Report. What's funny about Matt this morning is he's not a morning person. So the fact that he was Lincoln-like is because he was slow and tired. Let's see. Jerry McLean, member on YouTube, software has to change every few years due to upgrading technology. Not training pilots, aka workers, is a standard cost-cutting venture for shitty companies. Thank you for that clarification. And Fun P says, Francesca and Matt in Chicago soon. That is right. There should be a link in the description, but if not, I'll throw it in there. Colonello Valerio. Good God, that's a great name. You said, too big to fail is too big to exist. Yes. So many of those out there, including banks. And then Canadian Skull Dragon says, I remember when food used to be free. Yeah, we all used to make fun of it. It's not good, but I wish that were still a bit we could do because it would mean like something was free, Now there's, it started getting worse when they just did snacks. And now sometimes they, I don't know. You know what? I don't give a shit. Like, it's weird to be mad about, like, I don't know. It's weird to be mad about, like, not having good service in the sky. But, like, it is wild that how much you have to pay for it. Like, I would like a small box of cheese, and I would like 3 almonds and 4 grapes and 2 pieces of cheddar for $15. eLuna303 cheered a bit over on Twitch. I know everyone knows this, but Jesus Christ, this is what happens when everything in our world is ruled by profit and human advancement and well-being. I mean, this is the thing. You're like, every time, and we all need to unlearn this, every time some new technological advancement comes out, AI, for example, you always are like, or self-driving cars, you know, I was having this conversation with my mom not too long ago where she was like, this will be really good for the climate and the environment, like not, people won't own cars as much. And I was just like, hang on. Let's tap the mic. Mom, do you think that the auto industry would ever allow the self-driving car revolution, so to speak, to replace personal car ownership? I don't think so. Do you think in this world where greed runs everything and the rich get richer, that any of the technological advances would, one, be equitably distributed, be used for actual good, or be just be accessible or be designed to actually benefit everybody? No, that's not the point. The point isn't like if you had self-driving cars, your next instinct would be like, yeah, well, what if we just had car shares? What if they were just everyone owned them? It was nobody's owns it. Well, someone's going to be making money off of that. What they're mostly focused on with self-driving cars is displacing the greedy Uber and Lyft drivers who take way too much money. You know who you are out there. You're just rolling in the dough. So, and again, this is what capitalism does. It makes it precarizes or makes precarious one sort of aspect of work, and then it just layers and layers, and it just it's like a fucking, just a turducken of or like a 7-layer dip or whatever. I don't know. It's like a piece of poo with a fly, and then the maggot on the fly, and then and there's just like a squirrel eat the it's just a lot of gross stuff all layered on. So everyone's making money off of everyone else's misery. Yeah, it's upsetting, but like, go Josh Hawley, I guess, and go workers at Boeing who are renegotiating their contracts. Fight the power, fuck the patriarchy, and free Palestine. And I will see you all on Tuesday. Thank you so much. If you are a patron, for being a patron and remaining a patron. If you guys want to support this show, if you like this extra content, if you like the extra, something to listen to in your ear holes, patreon.com/Bitchuation room is where you go. And remember, yes, we will be in Chicago on August 19th and 20th surrounding the DNC. And with that, I bid you a good afternoon.